Hey everyone, me Kevin here with the latest on the next rounds of stimulus, what's going on in Congress, and the latest from our leaders. Also, I'll be clearing up some misinformation that's floating around mostly due to individuals using out-of-date information on YouTube. So I want to provide you the absolute latest. I always pride myself on trying to do my best to give you the absolute up-to-date information. And yeah, that is why sometimes I post more often. But I value knowledge and correctness. So let's get right to it. But first, remember to check out the amazing programs linked down below if you want to learn how to master your money and build your wealth in real estate, in stocks, and of course being able to make YouTube videos so you too can make money from home. All right, let's get into the content. First, last week we had an amazing proposal introduced by the Problem Solvers Caucus. This is a bipartisan group of 25 Democrats and 25 Republicans. This proposal included the potential for double stimulus checks, one in October and one in March, extended unemployment for 13 weeks, money for the PPP, money for schools, liability, testing, tracing, treatment, and so on. And excitement ran high last week as Mark Meadows said he had never been this excited in the last 72 days as he had been in the last 72 hours and hopeful for a deal to get done. Donald Trump also said Republicans should come up and go for a bigger package. After all, it all comes circling back to Americans anyway. And Trump specifically applauded the work of the Problem Solvers Caucus, calling them good people and liking their overall proposal, saying that we can simply negotiate whatever other pieces of the puzzle we might not agree with, but this is the right start. Well, this week, we were supposed to pass a continuing resolution to avoid a government shutdown and focus on this Problem Solvers Caucus stimulus deal. In fact, on Friday, Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin struck a verbal deal to include $30 billion in farm aid for Republicans and $2 billion in food aid for Democrats to agree to a continuing resolution. That just basically keeps the government funded through December 11th. It just continues the budget that they have through December 11th, so that way they could get through this next 43-day election cycle. Well, Friday evening, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg unfortunately passed away, and this sowed even deeper divisions in the Senate and the House between Republicans and Democrats. Now, the Senate and Trump are rushing to appoint a new Supreme Court justice and get that person approved by the Senate. Donald Trump says this next justice will be a woman, and we should expect to hear on a nomination announcement after Ruth Bader Ginsburg's funeral, either Thursday or Friday, which means we should expect an announcement on either Friday or Saturday, per Donald Trump's interview this morning. This, however, has now left Democrats extremely furious. As such, this morning, Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats released a version of the continuing resolution bill, which was supposed to be verbally agreed on Friday, slam dunked this week so we could focus on stimulus negotiations. Well, the bill they introduced to extend the funding does not include the $30 billion they agreed to give Republicans, and it, in fairness, doesn't include their $2 billion to food aid either. But something that they agreed to on Friday is not in the actual text. This is a classic example of why verbal offers suck. That's what we say in real estate as well, and what I teach in my real estate investing course. Put pen to paper if you actually want to strike a deal. And to this omission, Mitch McConnell has already replied. House Democrats' rough draft of a government funding bill shamefully leaves out key relief and support that American farmers need. This is no time to add insult to injury and defund help for farmers and rural America. Well, a senior Democrat replied and said what the Trump administration wanted added to the clean resolution, the clean continuing resolution, wasn't help for farmers. It was more than $20 billion of taxpayer dollars that the Trump administration views as a bottomless, unaccountable political slush fund. Oh, I'm getting so exhausted of Congress. Now again, in fairness, this draft did not include both of the verbal terms. It didn't include the Republican $30 billion and it didn't include the Democrat $2 billion. So maybe the Senate can just amend this in and we could just get the continuing resolution done with. We can get a Supreme Court justice either nominated or not, and then confirmed or not. And we could finally focus on coronavirus relief and proper stimulus. So somehow this week we're supposed to get through stimulus and coronavirus relief talks, a Supreme Court vacancy, and a bill to keep the government funded. Jeez, I wouldn't be surprised if nothing gets done this week. After all, we're just 43 days away from the election now. On stimulus, we are expecting stimulus talks to be separated from the continuing resolution, though, and there is some hope. Larry Kudlow spoke this morning, and Nancy Pelosi also spoke, and they are both optimistic that a deal will get done on time, though many believe that this is highly doubtful. To show how difficult things are becoming, here's a tweet from Donald Trump this morning. Crazy Nancy Pelosi wants to impeach me if I fulfill my constitutional obligation to put forth a nominee for the vacated seat of the United States Supreme Court. Well, at least in some good news, reports are from Washington that media coverage on the Supreme Court might actually allow negotiator for the White House, Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, and Nancy Pelosi time to discuss and negotiate the next stimulus package together without as much media attention. Now, that does mean we're going to be left in the dark more, but fortunately, if we can get these three individuals together, we have the potential of the stimulus relief bill getting through and actually getting passed over the next 2 weeks. Keep in mind, Mark Meadows is fortunately very optimistic about striking a deal with Nancy Pelosi and in relation to the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. Now, many people are making fun of Mark Meadows as being incapable of making a deal. Though right now, we've got to know this. All three negotiators, Nancy Pelosi has said she will not leave until she gets a deal done. She wants a deal done. Steve Mnuchin wants a deal and knows it's good for the election. And this is where a lot of the drama is. People are saying Mark Meadows, he's not a deal maker. Mark Meadows spent like 20 minutes last week on interviews discussing how he's very close to a deal. He's very optimistic. He wants a deal. Anything saying he's not a deal maker is just old news that people are picking up out of their notes from 5 weeks ago when he wasn't as optimistic about a deal. People are saying Mark Meadows is worried about the debt. No, this is incorrect. In fact, I will link the discussion down below where Mark Meadows was specifically interviewed with CNBC and detailed his support and willingness to support the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. And he even said that he's willing to spend $250 to $275 billion in state and local government funding, which is extremely close to what the Problem Solvers Caucus has proposed. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation that's being perpetuated about Mark Meadows because maybe it's just easy content to put together. I will, again, link that interview down below. And Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, and Pelosi, this is the big takeaway that we got to remember right now. All three of them are optimistic that they can get a deal done. The problem is, it's hard for them to be able to realistically negotiate a stimulus deal when there are so many other fires burning right now. Like, there are literally fires burning in California. We've got the Supreme Court, a figurative fire, and we've got this figurative fire with, the fact that we do not have a continuing resolution that appears acceptable by both parties, which means we, again, could face another government shutdown. Despite all this drama, Operation Warp Speed's chief advisor is now saying we're getting pretty close to a vaccine. And at the same time, recovery stocks took a tumble today amid fears that a second wave of COVID will actually crash the economy again into a double-dip recession and a vaccine will not come soon enough. This weekend, I also reported that the USA Today's survey of economists believes a lack of stimulus passing will crash the economy. Not even the mention of a potential winter wave of COVID. Federal Reserve President of the Bank of Dallas said Monday that central banks should not increase their current bailouts. Instead, we should focus on where the current issues are, and that is stimulating the markets with fiscal stimulus, aka Congress, get off your butt and do something. Also, on another note of misinformation, yes, the CDC did last week update their guidance suggesting that yes, COVID can spread through the air, known as airborne transmission. However, in breaking news as of the last hour, apparently the CDC is now claiming that this update was released in error, and they have now removed this comment, despite scientists and public health experts warning that COVID is spread through air transmission. The CDC is now backtracking their alignment with the statement that COVID is spread through airborne transmission, despite the fact that the World Health Organization recognized this threat and made it very clear in July that yes, COVID can aerosolize and spread through airborne transmission. The CDC is taking this information back, saying it was not ready to be released and shouldn't have been released. Apparently, the CDC is not wanting to cause any panic. Also this morning, Nikola's chairman, Trevor Milton, quit following 3 class action lawsuits. If you have lost money on an investment into Nikola, I have a video that I made this morning on Nikola, and you can actually join the class action lawsuits and get yourself some money back, hopefully, knock on wood. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this detailed video. I know there was a lot to talk about in this video. Folks, this is just Monday, so let's see how the rest of this week evolves. Consider subscribing, check out those programs linked down below. Get your free stock with Webull, deposit $100, they give you a stock worth up to $1,600, and get your life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.